What's up, guys? B Green Flex here, Voice of Flex, back again with another video. Today, we're going to do an It's Complicated video. It's been a little while since we've done one of these, and I feel as if the first few videos I did last year when I started the channel, I did a lot of his videos, or reacted to a lot of his, I'm using the term a lot. It's probably, a handful, but just in general, I think I was doing, one of these like every third video or something, and it's been a little while since we've done one after revamping the channel again. So make sure you guys go check him out. His channel is literally It's Complicated Channel. That's the name of it, and I really like his stuff because he's a great interviewer. The style of interviews is really cool. It's that more fast-paced street interview style, but also he doesn't ever claim to be on either side. I mean, we kind of know what side he's on, but just in general, he really forces women, well, people, but women specifically, to really peel back the layer and think like, oh, wait, like, because he kind of uses their logic against them. And he does it in a concise way with purposeful questions. So great interviewer, great content. Shouts out to him. Make sure to check him out. Hope you guys are all doing great. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. Make sure to comment down below what your thoughts are, whatever you might take away from the video. And without further ado, let's get into it. Legal sex work. Rules of modern dating and understanding women. It's complicated.
If prostitution was legalized, would women's attitudes towards men change, and if so, how?
It definitely would change, because then they wouldn't just be like, everybody wouldn't be trying to be a prostitute. They would actually go back to being women.
How so?
Because now it seems like that's what they want to do. They all just want to be a prostitute when they grow up because they think it's free, easy money.
Right.
As opposed to just being a good woman to a man, which is hard to
Whereas
find.
if it was legal,
Would it
probably
be a
wouldn't
threat
as
to women's
expensive
sexual
or
power over men?
risky.
Oh, it definitely would be a threat, because that's all they really get to hold over a man's head.
Yep.
Is that thing.
What percentage of the girls you know do sex work?
100% of them.
Like 40%.
Like, let's just, like, come on, bro. He said, what percentage of women do you know, or, yeah, women do you know do sex work, or some, the women that you know, what percentage of them do sex work, something along those lines, and she said 100%. Like, that's actually crazy, bro. And mind you, they're maybe not actually going out there $300 for the night, $1,000 for the night, whatever, but, they're probably on OnlyFans, or, they have, or they actually do prostitution of some sort, or they're strippers, or whatever the case may be. And it's like, bro, like, that's the world that we live in. And mind you, he's in Vegas, which is more of that type of environment. Think New York City, Vegas, Miami, LA, these types of environments usually have higher concentrations of those types of women. But just in general, that's still insane to think that a woman is sitting there cheesing her ass off, gladly saying that all the women that she knows do sex work. Like, that's crazy, especially on our side. Like, this is what we're having to combat, and like, this is what we're having to deal with in the sexual marketplace as a man, because you're trying to find a good woman that maybe has a low body count but is still attractive, and not putting herself out there like that and stuff. And we have girls that literally all of her friends are in sex work. Like, every girl she knows is in sex work. Like, that's just, but she was pretty though. She has some veneers that look like they kind of look a little but just in general, she was pretty. Of course, she's probably caked up with makeup. But anyway, crazy clown world.
Yeah.
A small percent for me.
I mean, like, I don't know, like, just from like social media and everything, I think like a big percent, yeah.
A good 95% of them.
What are the different types of sex workers?
So there's girls who walk the blade. That's like when they're outside on the sidewalks, walking in heels and everything, picking up cars. There's girls who post ads on the internet. There's girls who walk the carpet.
Streetwalkers. It's like escorts, high class, strippers, OnlyFans.
You got escorts, prostitutes, massage therapists, and even your everyday regular female wants to get some money out of a man some kind of way. Like, that's their goal.
What's the difference between selling your body for sex and selling your body not for sex?
There is no difference.
In a sense, doesn't everyone prostitute themselves?
100%, yes.
They sell themselves for blunts and weed and drink. Why not get the money?
In a sense, doesn't everyone prostitute themselves?
I've definitely prostituted myself once or twice, so I mean.
We all prostitute ourselves at all times, whether we're working for somebody else or working for ourselves. If your money and your body and your money is on a dime, you're prostituting yourself. So in a sense, if you don't own your own business, you are working in the prostitution trade.
Yep.
What is a brothel?
I agree with that 100% because as a self-employed business owner, you know, I kind of linger in this line of course, I still need to have clients. I still need to have, you know, the jobs lined up, the pipeline, stuff like that. I still need to be having meetings. But in general, actually, a couple of weeks ago, I texted one of my good friends and I was like, if I didn't work for myself, I would be fired because I literally will sometimes like sleep in, you know, or, you know, kind of like end up having a slow day and stuff like that, which, you know, of course, I'm still very, very hardworking and I make sure to get shit done when it needs to get done and stuff like that. But just in general, like I feel like, or I'm not going to say I feel like, I think, and I kind of know most business owners or successful people usually have the same type of traits, and we are hyper active and hardworking, but we also kind of meander on this line of we can't really do things by a concise schedule. Like if I had to go to work, be there at 8:30 or 9 o'clock and stay there until 5 o'clock, and I have to be at my desk that whole time except for my break or whatever, I've already done it before and I lose my fucking mind. And even when I was doing it, I was selling cars. So I was still able to be walking around, moving cars, talking to customers. So it still kind of had some freedom. But just in general, business owners, usually we all have those same type of traits where it's like we are business owners because we understand how our brain works. And I know that even though I might wake up late one day and not go to the job site as early as, you know, most people would think is appropriate, I'm still also being as productive as that same person would be in less time, or I'm staying later to get it done, or whatever the case may be. All that to say, if you are working for somebody else, you are prostituting yourself because you are, by definition, enslaved to them for that check. You understand that I need to be there from 9 to 5 to get that check. I need to be there, you know, at the desk answering the phone or whatever, or I'm going to get fired. Whereas I can say, oh, I can kind of, you know, sleep in a little bit tonight or this morning, or, oh, that I have that meeting, you know, at 10 o'clock. So instead of going to the site and then going to the meeting, I'll just go to the meeting. You know, I could kind of play by my own rules. So even though I still need the clientele and stuff like that, I don't necessarily need to abide by, you know, the conformities of a traditional job. So in a way, like it's like she said, if you're working for somebody else, you're not your own boss. You are a prostitute because you have to be there at X time, stay there this amount of time, do these set of things, or you're fired. Like you don't get the money unless you do these things. So
A brothel is
one of the coolest things to me was action is a character.
is a place you can go into and pay and pick a woman to basically go do your thing with.
How is that different than a high-class escort or a streetwalker?
It's not any different. It's just in a more controlled environment.
So a brothel is a house that women do sex work in, but it's a legal house, and it's definitely secure. It's watched by like security, police, and everything. It's a lot safer. They have to get tested regularly, and it's a place for men to go and pick out a woman they want and have sex with them in a lot safer way.
The only difference would be that you're going to an establishment as opposed to them coming to your place.
Isn't a brothel more likely to be safe and regulated?
Yep.
Yeah, because they get tested and things like that, as opposed to when she pulled up, she could have just left her other dude's house.
Streetwalkers, they don't have to get tested regularly, or high-class escorts, and they know that no matter on both parties, they're not going to get set up, robbed, kidnapped, or killed.
Why do people think prostitution is more likely to spread disease when sex workers are tested on a regular, consistent basis?
Because they watch too much TV. Because in real life, sex workers get tested as opposed to the average girl. She's most of them don't even have an OBGYN, or they think that's like an acronym on the internet or some shit.
Oh, that's funny. But no, he's that question was actually very valid and intelligent, because there definitely is a stigma with, you know, you see it when a porn star talks about something, she's doing an interview or whatever, and guys will always say, oh, like, she's ran through what she has ran through, but they'll say, oh, she's dirty, she probably has whatever. But it's like, actually, when you're a porn star, you have to get tested. I think it's like every 2 weeks or something like that. And then you also have to get tested every time you do a scene, or anytime you have intercourse with somebody outside of, you know, shooting the scene itself. And most like high-end, you know, places like this, Vegas, Miami, whatever, where there are high-end like escort services and stuff, like they actually do have operation. Like, you have to get tested, you have to make sure, you know, there's protection used and stuff like that. So, and like he said, but the everyday girl walking around that you might pick up on Tinder, or that might fucking, you know, see at the club or whatever, you might assume that she's okay because she's a regular person, but really the sex workers are cleaner than her because they're getting tested all the time and using protection and whatever. Whereas this chick, you met her at the club last night and hooked up with her, but literally the night before she hooked up with a dude, and maybe you used a condom, but that dude maybe didn't use a condom. And it's like, you know, and that, yeah, like, I feel like, you know, a decent amount of girls get tested. You know, you kind of see, at least this is a personal experience, this is anecdotal evidence, but I've seen like girls that I've, you know, hooked up with or have dated or whatever, they usually do have some type of, you know, every couple months they get tested, or every, you know, whatever. But just in general, though, if you're meeting a girl and hooking up with her the first time, or if you're like just getting with a girl and y'all are kind of off and on and stuff, like, you don't really know if she's clean or not unless she actually tells you. And I'm not saying that to shame women, because men need to do it too. Everyone should be getting tested and be safe and whatever. But just in general, I would definitely think, I would argue that the girl in the bar or the nightclub or whatever on Tinder, you probably have a way higher chance of getting something from her than if you were to hook up with a fucking porn star or a damn, you know, high-end escort. Like, I would argue it would probably be the girl at the club. So, something to think about.
Like in a brothel, they got to be tested, and I would assume that you can't just go in there and not be tested. I wouldn't assume you'd just be able to walk in and say, hey, I want to pick somebody. I'm pretty sure they would want to know your history and just want to see some type of results.
Why do some people think prostitution is already legal?
Probably because they watch too much TV, because it's definitely not legal.
If it was legal, wouldn't we have brothels?
Yep.
Yeah, you got to go to like the sticks to find a brothel where the laws are not really regulated.
Right.
So don't we really just have black market prostitution?
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what it is.
It's to the point now where I'm from, back on Figueroa, the prostitutes no longer get arrested. They have to be put in jail 3 times in order to be cuffed up and put behind the wall.
That's true.
So prostitution is legal. We got hoes out there that can make it
true.
3 or 4 times before we have to lock them up.
That's 100% facts. And this is not necessarily personal, even though I have observed it in my own personal life, or, you know, in situations outside of me, but I've observed. The general rule of thumb is, prostitution is not the only crime that they do that for, but there's a lot of cities where certain crimes like that, primarily prostitution, if they pick you up the first time and this is your first time being charged with that crime, especially if you have a clean record and stuff like that, they usually don't book you or, like, you know, jail you like indefinitely. It's usually a slap on the wrist, and they might bring you down to the station and stuff like that, but you're usually released on your own recognizance, or you might have, you know, a $100 bond or $500 bond or whatever, where you just pay the $50 or whatever, and you can let yourself out. And it's not until you get that third strike to where they actually charge you with prostitution, and then, you know, you're booked and jailed and have a court case and all that kind of stuff. So in a way, like he said, it is kind of legal, because if you can get away with it 3 times, as long as you don't get caught that 3rd time, shit, even if you don't get caught that 1st time, like, you're technically fine. And let's be honest, especially in bigger cities, there's not really a lot of observation of prostitution. Like, cops are not, I mean, they might have some cops patrolling those areas or have units that kind of investigate these certain things, but if it's not pertaining to a larger sex trafficking case or a larger, escort service organization they're trying to bust or whatever, if it's just like a girl that's like, fuck it, I want to, have sex for money, and she has like a back page fucking ad, or she just like, has on Tinder or hits up guys, hey, you want to fuck me, $200-300 whatever, she ain't gonna get caught. Like, so in a way it kind of is legal. It's just it rides that line to where it's like, since it's not regulated as much, that kind of indeterminately makes it legal. So
don't we really just have black market prostitution?
Yes.
Isn't black market prostitution dangerous for both men and women?
Yes.
Yep. Why?
Because you don't know the situations that you're getting yourself into.
Women have
not even like the safety of the STDs, but also the safety of, like the other girl was saying before, you could get robbed, stabbed, shot, killed, just finessed in general. It could end up being a dude that kind of like fucking, ends up raping you, whatever the case may be. So
have a more chance of getting killed, especially if they're going to a man's house that they don't even know or where it is. They don't know the area, and men also have the same chance of getting killed, kidnapped, robbed, anything, because they're meeting a woman that they never know, and sometimes it's not even the woman that they think they're meeting.
Why do people think prostitution can't be taxed?
Can't be taxed? I believe it can be taxed when it's an uncontrolled environment.
Hendrick.
Drive now, pay later.
Anything can be taxed. Look at weed. The states that legalized it are making crazy money in taxes on it.
Because we're not going through it the legal way. We're going through it ourselves. So nobody's taking money out of our paycheck for tax, for medical, anything. It's all the money that we're able to keep. Nobody takes anything out of it.
Prostitution is legal in parts of Nevada. Don't they tax and regulate it there?
Yeah, they tax and regulate it in the places where it is, but it wouldn't be in a place as grand as this with this many people. It's like a small little town, so they can see everybody and make sure they're getting every dollar.
Why can't we just say prostitution is legal, but only in brothels, so it can be taxed and regulated?
That's a good damn question. It's a good question. It should.
Well, that's why, a couple 100 years ago, the term brothel comes from, I mean, it goes way back, probably thousands of years, but the term itself comes from the fact that, in the medieval times and into the earliest, colonization of America and stuff like that, the reason why they had brothels was because they didn't want the problem that we have now, where prostitution being illegal and being unregulated caused, STD spikes or dangerous, violent crimes and stuff like that. It was, okay, everyone in the town knows that the brothel downtown on 3rd Street or whatever is the place where you can go pay for sex. And we know everyone that works there, and we know the organization and who it's run by. We have all the documents in the files. We know everyone's getting tested. We know, what their rates are. And yeah, you can kind of fuck with the numbers, but just in general, it made it to where it was safer, more regulated, and it allowed that kind of, it allowed for everyone to kind of be doing it the right way, because now that we don't have brothels, it proved the whole point of why we should have them. And I'm not saying that paying for sex is a good thing by any means. That's not the argument. I'm just saying in general, like he's saying, prostitution is gonna happen anyway, so we might as well do it in a way that is safe and regulated instead of doing it in a way where we don't really know what's going on or how to monitor it. So
it'd be legal.
Why are people so afraid of their mothers, sisters, and daughters becoming prostitutes when they can currently choose to be escorts, sugar babies, and OnlyFans?
I mean, because nobody wants their sister to be your hoe or daughter or anything like that.
Can self-improvement and prostitution coexist, or will men become spoiled and lazy?
Men will become spoiled and lazy.
I mean, men are already spoiled and lazy any damn way.
I guess for the most part, because you don't have to really try to get a girl. You just got to pay for it.
It will make life
Like I was saying, I don't. The whole deeper meaning I was saying when I was like, I don't think paying for sex is a good thing, is that I definitely don't think that as a man you should be paying for sex, because it's with porn, which I don't watch porn and I don't think any of y'all should either. I don't think any man should. But with porn, OnlyFans, and you know these back pages and prostitution and stuff, whenever you have access to sex that easily, for women it's not a big deal because, well, of course, I'm saying the access to sex because they have access to sex anyway. The big deal for them is they become hoes and unvaluable. But for men, it's a much bigger deal because that's our primary thing that we're looking for when we're engaging with females. So if you have access to that very, very easily or cheaply, instead of trying to improve yourself physically, mentally, financially, spiritually, instead of trying to better yourself overall as a man and become attractive to women and get women, you're going to naturally just become a fucking loser and lazy. And what's the point? You don't need to better yourself and go to the gym and build a business or your career or whatever, because guess what? You can just fucking pull up Pornhub, or you can just fucking go down to the dang whatever and pay for a hooker. Like, so anyway.
Life a lot easier for men, so they would never do that.
Were the men of the past spoiled and lazy when prostitution was legal?
No, because they were hardworking men and they had to have money to go spend it.
Right.
Absolutely not. They probably were the most hardworking men in the world.
Well, that's because at the time, dollars were a lot more valuable. It wasn't as inflated as it is now. And at the time, it wasn't really a currency in the sense of a dollar. It was more like, okay, you might have a few coins or dollars or whatever, but it was more like, okay, this is the hardworking construction man that is gonna like do something for the brothel, build on an extra piece if you like let him hit or whatever. Or he knew that $2 he was gonna give the brothel took a fucking week to earn, so he's like, fuck, like I'm not gonna go do it all the time because this one time I do it to just get some nuts off, I can't afford to do it. Like I have to go back to work. So just different times.
You know, you could
Wish you had help getting things done? Same. So I got Spectrum One.
Get 300 megabit.
Go get your rocks off, and then you can go to work.
If prostitution was legal, do you think there would be less gold diggers and sugar babies?
Yep. Oh, yes, 100% there would be, because at that point, like I said, there would be a lot more legal services out there. So, you know, the men who do, like the gold diggers, like the old men who have younger girlfriends, or the men who pay for like a girl to be with them for long-term relationships, they would know that they have a service, so whenever they want it, they can just go pay for it that price instead of having to pay a fortune for another girl.
Yep.
So wouldn't women be the ones who are less spoiled and lazy?
I guess.
You don't want to say it.
There, I guess in a sense, yeah, you could say that.
You see how women's initial reaction to criticizing women is always met with some type of resentment or hesitation or trigger. Like, if a woman realizes that a woman is doing wrong, whether you're speaking about women in general or herself or her friends or whatever, and you're pointing that out, she couldn't just sit there and say, yeah, you're right. It was like, yeah, I guess. It's like, bro, just, like, why is it so hard for them to just admit and take accountability? Why? I really, that's the true red pill, besides some of the deeper stuff that I could go into for y'all, that's outside of dating. Why is it that women just can't take accountability? We have to do some studies on this shit because they're just allergic to that word. I just never understand.
If prostitution was legal, would men still get married?
Yeah, but it would be married for the right reasons.
Right.
Which is the way that it's supposed to be. And now it's just all about money. Everything in this world is just all about money now. And women take a great advantage of that because they know that men make the majority of the money.
If people believe that sex is addicting like a drug, why is weed, alcohol, porn, and gambling all legal and highly regulated?
Because it brings in a ton of money.
Right.
Because we're a repressed society that comes from our sort of Puritan ancestors and all other things that are complicated.
If prostitution was legalized, would women's attitudes towards men change, and if so, how?
1,000% it would change.
Good question.
Because it would be legal, and then women wouldn't be able to, you know, think that because they're cute, you owe them something.
Right.
It would be a lot different because they know that you could just go get any girl that you want and not get in trouble for it.
Yep.
And then also, on top of that, then you'd be able to do what you want as well. So you wouldn't have to choose them. They would have to do a lot more than just cook, clean, and.
You know, he's 100% right, because if it was legal as the man, instead of having to go out and get women or whatever, you would just go pay the fucking price, do your thing, whatever. And so women thinking that they have all this power because of the pussy and feminism and whatever, it would force them to have to give more than just sex or offer more than just sex. And of course, as a man, like I said, I don't think I think you still should want to engage with actual real people, not prostitutes, but it would still just put more of the understanding from a dating perspective on the women, because right now they think they have all the power because of having the pussy and all these men want me and this and that. And it's like, no, we just want you for sex. We don't want to date you. And they don't really take accountability or understand what men want to keep them when that's their job. And it would force them to be like, oh, dang, they can just go get sex whenever they want. Now, okay, this guy really is pursuing me. I need to know what I need to do to keep him. And, you know, it would just it would give them more, it would force them to think more critically about dating and relationships and what they need to provide to the table rather than just sex, because their egos are super hyper inflated.
Well, it might change for the better. If they knew that men could get their needs met other places and the pressure was off them.
Yep.
Men do not deserve the attention and the mentality that women give them. So if women took control of the situation as the men have, then the world would be in a completely different place.
But wouldn't prostitution being men taking control of the situation since they're the one paying for it?
No, because there has to be an allowance for them to even be able to pay for somebody's body. So if somebody allows somebody to pay for it, then it'll happen. So who has control?
Can you think of it?
What the fuck is she talking about? Like, the first thing she was saying, I was like, wait, what? And then she followed up with that dumbass. That's why he cut that shit right there. He's like, okay, this woman is fucking delusional.
Any reason prostitution is illegal that's not based on morality or religion?
Because black people do it. Most of the time, everything that black...
I don't agree, but that's fucking hilarious.
People do, they make it illegal. Black people smoke weed, so they made weed illegal, and you get a lot of time for it. Black people want to pimp and hoe, they make it illegal, so they can lock all their asses up. If they start making that shit legal, then a lot of them wouldn't be getting incarcerated, and therefore they wouldn't be making as much money, because most of the big companies and things like that get all their money from investing into the prisons.
Should religion dictate what's legal in a free society, and if so, where's the line?
Religion should never dictate anything.
That's what's wrong with this country. And I'm not even going to say the world, because there's like 80% of the world is based on religious values or some type of moral values. But the Westerns, you know, modernized first world countries, that's the exact issue. Religion should not dictate anything. No, you are absolutely wrong. Religion should dictate something, because this country is built on the principle of Christianity and God. Now, am I saying that we should force it down people's throats and that should be the basis of how you sustain your society? No, but what I'm saying is having that basis of structure, not sustainability, but structure, allows you to have some type of code to initiate everything from. Okay, we're going to allow this or not allow this because going against our principles, is it right or wrong? And if we still had those type of moral codes, religious codes, whatever, we would be not where we're at today. Because the fact that most women think, how she just said, religion shouldn't dictate anything, is exactly why women running around here, whores, hella bodies, OnlyFans, prostitution, whatever. Men are running around here fucking drinking their lives away, doing hella drugs, you know, feminized as hell, like in their feelings, going to therapy and, you know, whatever, not willing to work hard. But I will say the men are starting to wake up. Usually the men are the ones that have to work hard because otherwise they don't get women. But this whole idea that religion is like bad or like shouldn't dictate how we propagate our society is terrible. And that's exactly the reason why we're at where we're at today, is because most women think how she thinks right there. And even some men, and it's terrible. We need to have some type of fucking structure, bro. We need God. I'm starting to be more religious, but I was complete atheist, non-religious for a very long time. But what's happening in the world or in these Western countries now, and as I get older and start to realize more about what's happening, we need God. God will provide that structure, bro. God.
Religion is made up in itself.
There was prostitutes next to Jesus. Jesus was roaming the earth with prostitutes and thieves and
instead of answering the question, she's trying to justify why it's okay to be a fucking whore.
And all the things that people want to consider bad, he was right there next to, because ain't nobody else accepted him like that in the beginning. No one ever believed the word like that.
Well, that's a person's right to choose. Isn't that the conceit of America? That you can have your religious freedom?
If legalizing prostitution would be a game changer, why is it never talked about on any of these podcasts?
Because then it would be a game changer. And if everybody made an uproar about it and saying that it should be legal and things of that nature, then they probably would get canceled because they're going against the grain.
Yep.
They don't want nobody to be a salmon.
Why is Vegas called Sin City?
It's the city where people make sins.
Because what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, and Vegas is a place where you can go, get drunk, do anything, find prostitutes.
Because this is one place that you could come to and you could do everything you want, so you think, until you come on vacation and leave on probation.
God.
We live in Sin City, Las Vegas. Can you think of a more appropriate time or a more appropriate place to have brothels than right here, right now?
Nope.
On this definitely would be the best place to start. That's for damn sure. Yep. I mean, it should go global after that if they make it legal. But it definitely should.
I like this dude, man. This dude funny, bro. Like he's answering the questions like concisely and with good answers, good quality answers, articulate and stuff. But he's also pretty funny. He's like one of those people that's just naturally funny. Like
start here. It is called Sin City, and that's definitely a sin.
Hell yeah. Well, I hope you guys liked the video. I know there was a couple times in there that I went on some tangents, and I kind of realized like halfway through, like, dang, what the fuck am I talking about? I've been watching too much Fresh and Fit, starting to make me fucking delusional myself. But damn. But anyway, hope you guys liked the video. If you took anything from it, please like and subscribe. My channel did really, really well when I first started it last year. And I took that big break because of a bunch of shit. But now that I've been back, like things were kind of but these last few videos have been doing okay. So hopefully we're back on the upward trend. And I really hope you guys appreciate all the value and information. Or at least I hope I'm providing some value and information, or even just some entertainment. But please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content, or if you took anything away from it, because I really want to get this stuff built, and I really want to keep spreading the message. Also comment down below what your thoughts are on some of the talking points, or what things you might disagree with me on, or with some of the people on, whatever. And yeah, make sure to go follow the TikTok. It's the same thing, just Voice of Flex. And we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.